Welcome to a moment of stillness. Imagine, if you will, the world softening, as if wrapped in a warm and familiar quilt. The thoughts of the day, the tasks, the to-dos, they no longer matter. As the stars brighten in the velvet sky above, give yourself permission to relax. Breathe deeply, slowly, and feel the calm settle in. Together we'll take a soothing journey to a quaint, delightful little place called Sleepshire, a village where the worries of the world find no purchase. Close your eyes now, and let us begin. Ah, Sleepshire, a village soaked in charm, brimming with oddballs, and absolutely incapable of doing anything the straightforward way. When the sun rises over its twinkling cobblestones, it illuminates the same happy chaos every morning. Pixies fluttering about with their tiny shopping baskets, oversized rabbits trying to smuggle tea cakes out of the bakery, and enchanted wind chimes that occasionally forget they're supposed to chime and instead break into show tunes. Life here was delightfully peculiar, but few days in Sleepshire were as absurd or as sticky as the day of the Gooseberry Pie Festival. The festival was an annual tradition, eagerly anticipated like clockwork every summer. Residents spent months growing their prized gooseberries, plump, glistening little jewels of fruit that in other parts of the world might inspire soft oohs and ahs. But in Sleepshire, gooseberries were a competitive sport. Arguments about their size and sweetness were known to interrupt local council meetings. One year, a particularly contentious gooseberry debate caused the entire village stick band to miss their performance, and frankly, they've never fully recovered. This year, one pie would reign supreme, and no one was taking this lightly. Judges like Sir Snore-a-Lot, Baron Bedhead, Princess Pillowsoft, and Dr. Wakeful Worthington had been enlisted for their alleged impartiality. Then again, this was Sleepshire, where impartiality could be as rare as unicorns alphabetizing their hooves. Let us begin with Lady Luna Lullaby, our beloved troubadour turned tea enthusiast, who was preparing for the festival in her tiny, flower-draped kitchen. For Luna, the Gooseberry Pie Festival was a bit like a gentle war. Her pies often turned out almost perfect, but almost wasn't enough in Sleepshire. Standing in a small cloud of flour, Luna leaned over her countertop with an expression of intense determination. This time, she declared to herself, will be the year of Luna Lullaby. My pie shall dazzle. It will inspire poems, legends. They'll build a statue of it in the square. Her mysterious cat, Felix, who had made his home in the linen drawer ages ago, gave a look that seemed to say, "Don't get carried away, lady." Now, baking a pie in Sleepshire wasn't as straightforward as it might be elsewhere. The gooseberries had to be charmed to just the right level of sweetness. Too much charm, and the berries might try to recite Shakespeare. The pastry couldn't be rolled too thin or enchanted too heavily, a rookie mistake, one that might lead the crust to puff up and grow feelings about being poked with a fork. And of course you had the competition to contend with, specifically Luna's main rival, Cuthbert Crumble. Ah, yes, Cuthbert. If overconfidence were a sport, and let's be clear, it probably is somewhere, Cuthbert was the reigning champion. Each year he somehow entered a pie that garnered gasps, applause, and frequently pocketing of second helpings. Cuthbert was smug in the way only a person who had laminated their own gooseberry-growing tips could be. "Ah, Luna, I hear you're entering this year, again." His smirk practically had its own gravitational pull. "Of course, Cuthbert," Luna replied sweetly, though her teeth clenched behind her smile, "and I'm sure your entry will be fine, as usual." This meant war, a gentle, pastry-filled, entirely nonsensical war. The day of the festival dawned gloriously, with soft sunbeams spilling through the early morning mist. Villagers bustled about, delivering their pies to the competition tent, oohing and aahing at decorations shaped like gooseberries, and snagging free samples of gooseberry preserves between conversations about whose pie might fail spectacularly this year. It was under this jovial buzz that the esteemed panel of judges assembled. Sir Snore-a-Lot was already eating something, though it was unclear whether it had been sanctioned for judging. "What? I'm testing my palate," he insisted when Luna raised her eyebrows at him. Baron Bedhead stumbled in late, his hair wilder than usual, and with several sticky gooseberries attached to the sleeves of his coat. He'd apparently attempted to invent some sort of berry-stacking contraption, but, based on his sheepish expression, he did not wish to elaborate on how it had gone. Princess Pillowsoft had brought her own cushion, one sized perfectly to fit the judging chair, and apparently made of silk softer than her own personality, which was difficult to achieve. She sat like royalty surveying a battlefield, even though her true interest was less in berries and more in the color coordination of pie crusts. And Dr. Wakeful Worthington had, upon discovering pies were involved, provided a giant scroll titled The Comprehensive History of Gooseberry Gastronomy, which no one asked for, but which he insisted on referencing anyway. The competition began smoothly enough. Luna's pie had been set on the judging table, golden brown, perfectly latticed, and, if she did say so herself, uncharacteristically magnificent. Cuthbert's, of course, entered like some sort of celebrity pie, carried on a small silver platter with the words "Victory is inevitable" emblazoned on its crust. But then, oh then, 5 pies in, just as Princess Pillowsoft was examining whether an entry had been adequately dusted with powdered sugar, a sudden and mysterious pop rang out across the tent. Everyone froze. Another pop, then a loud splatter. Gooseberry juice everywhere. "Good heavens!" Dr. Worthington shouted, leaping up as another pie began bubbling furiously, like a cauldron gone rogue. One by one, pies began erupting in minor explosions of juice and crust. Gooseberries shot through the air, unapologetically sticky, pelting hats, hair, and innocent birds in passing. "Oh no," Luna muttered under her breath, clapping her floury hands to her cheeks. "I may have accidentally spilled a little enhancing charm near the pie counter." The judges were now diving for cover behind overturned chairs. Sir Snore-a-Lot attempted to shield himself with his sword, but was promptly hit squarely in the face with a gooseberry, rendering him sticky and heroic in equal measure. Chaos reigned. Cuthbert, screeching about sabotage, attempted to save his pie from imploding, only to discover that it had grown wings. Apparently, in its charmed state, it was now attempting to fly softly away, flapping delicate crust-like appendages as if this were entirely normal. Luna, meanwhile, dragged Baron Bedhead under the table and whispered, "If anyone asks, none of this was my fault." "Understood," Bedhead said, though his hair resembled an exploded pie itself. Finally, after many towels, gentle apologies to the villagers, and a solemn burial for the pies deemed too far gone to be salvaged, the judges reconvened. Luna braced for disaster, but to her surprise, the committee awarded her pie the grand prize, apparently one of the only entries that hadn't spontaneously leaked its filling. Victory. Sweet gooseberry-laced victory. Cuthbert, his flying pie confiscated, sulked dramatically into the sunset. And Luna? Well, she was already brainstorming ways to make next year's pie even more magical, preferably without accidentally charming the whole tent along the way. And so, dear listener, the great gooseberry fiasco came to its sticky, delicious conclusion. Let this serve as a reminder that life, like pie, can be messy, sweet, and utterly hilarious when things don't go according to plan. Now rest easy, knowing you've spent some time in Sleepshire, a place where even the disasters are somehow delightful. Good night.